My wife stole our son's college fund to help her lazy brother, but now she's suing him to get the money back because she says she will need it. I'm a 41-year-old man who has been married to Melissa, 38 for 13 years, and we have an 11-year-old son. I'm so furious and outraged. My wife, my not-so-smart wife, thinks it's okay to waste our son's college money for an even dumber reason. Yesterday, I sat down to review my accounts and I noticed money missing from the university fund. It seemed too strange because I only deposit money into that account. I never take money out. Sure, there are times I withdraw from my savings or even the retirement fund when there's a real crisis, but I would never touch our son's college fund. That money is for his future. I've been saving it since the day he was born. Each month, without fail, a part of my income went into that account. I promised myself that my son would have a real opportunity to study and have a future, unlike me. You see, I come from nothing. I grew up in poverty with 4 siblings, and we barely had food on the table. My parents worked themselves to exhaustion, but it was never enough. Being the oldest, the responsibility was on my shoulders. We attended public school and survived on food stamps. I didn't even finish high school. Just thinking about college felt like a luxury. After school, I had to take care of the house and my younger siblings. When my sister reached my age, she took on my responsibilities, and I had to go out with my dad to earn more money. He worked at a shop and I went along to help him. I wasn't getting paid, but I helped him finish his work faster. The more cars he washed, the more commission he made. I learned all the skills and tools from him. Eventually, my dad opened his own small workshop, and my sister and I helped him run it, thinking we would solve our money problems and establish a successful business. Sadly, it didn't work out, and after a few years, we had to shut it down. We all went back to work, this time separately. I started at a shop and eventually opened my own. I met Melissa in my 20s, and we got married a few years later. The day our son was born, I promised myself he wouldn't share my unfortunate fate. I started saving for his college. She loved the idea that I took our son's future so seriously. She did too. I don't know what made her think it was okay to use that money for something foolish. Do you know what's worse? She hid it from me. It's been almost a month since she took that money, and she never even told me until I found out. I felt awful when I logged into the account and saw the balance was way below where it should have been, like really low. At least 20% of the fund was gone. I refreshed the page. Maybe it was a mistake, but no, the number was still there. I was scared thinking someone had hacked the account. I just thought, what do I do now? But then I checked the transactions and there it was. The money had been transferred to her account. I confronted her immediately, no waiting for her to come to me. I showed her the transaction on my phone. She looked at me as if to say, "Oh, you found out." And she didn't say a word. Her silence filled me with anxiety, and I shouted, "Can you explain this?" It took her a few seconds, like she was searching for the right words, but she still didn't say anything. I told her, "Don't play dumb. That money was for our son's future. It's missing from the account. We're talking thousands of dollars. What did you do?" After a lot of insisting, she replied, "I needed it, and I'll pay it back." I felt like I was clenching my jaw so hard my teeth might break, and I'd have to eat processed food for the rest of my life. Needed it for what? Again, silence. Her attitude was driving me insane. She didn't want to tell me how she spent such a huge amount of money. She responded like it was none of my business what she did with the money. Things. I wasn't even aware I was shouting so much. What things? What urgent thing did you buy with this, and why with the college fund? She timidly explained that she had long wanted diamond earrings. They were on sale and she couldn't resist it. I thought about that sight and about how months later she planned to repay it one way or another. Unbelievable. She bought herself diamonds. She knows perfectly how much that means to me. I've worked my fingers to the bone to save that money, and she just took it, without telling me anything. She didn't seem to grasp the severity of the situation, nor how foolish she'd been with her purchase. All she kept saying was, "Don't worry, I'm going to repay it." At that point, my patience was already at its limit. Are you out of your mind? Did your secret increase your salary? Did you win the lottery? Because the last time I checked, your paycheck barely managed to cover your share of the bills and those spa sessions of yours. So tell me, how are you going to replace that money? She looked annoyed that I was asking so many questions. Are you being so dramatic? It's not like I took everything. I ran my hand over my face, trying to not say something I would regret. You took thousands, years of savings and planning down the drain, and you don't even care. We're talking about your child's money here. Without a drop of remorse, she said, Of course I care, but it's not like we can't save again. Your new workshop is doing really well. We'll gather the money again. I told her, Do you really think it's that easy? You've delayed us years. Do you even understand that? She got mad at me for continuing to insist and rolled her eyes, saying, Look, I already said I'm going to fix it. I don't know what else you want me to say. That's when I exploded. A simple apology would have been a good start. Maybe some real remorse. Or at least a plan that isn't just nonsense like, I'll replace it, when we both knew she probably couldn't. She responded, You act like I committed a crime. It was our money. That fund won't be needed for at least 5 years. My blood was boiling at her remark that it was just money. No, this wasn't just money. It represented our child's future. And worse yet, she didn't even show a glimmer of concern for the situation. I can't find the words to express how furious I feel inside. I haven't spoken to her since. She said she would give me space to cool off and later we could have a mature conversation. I don't think that will happen until she understands the seriousness of her mistake, which, as of now, seems she hasn't. Due to her response, I don't expect that will change. She came to ask me twice if I was ready to talk yet, but I'm not there as I could be. I don't know if I'm overreacting as she says that it's just money. Can anyone relate with me? Am I being unreasonable in my anger? Update 1. After a couple of days, my anger calmed down enough for me to start thinking clearly. There was something off in her story. Melissa has never been a fan of diamonds. In all the years we've been together, she's never said she wanted fancy jewelry. So why now? And why take that money from our child's college fund? It didn't make sense. Suspicion overcame me, and I asked her to show me the earrings. She stood frozen as if I had caught her stealing. When I found out about the money, she acted like it was no big deal, but now she was sweating. Then she mumbled something about them still being in the process of being made. I asked her, Oh, so you ordered them customized then? She nodded. Uh-huh. That's nice. Show me the design. She started stammering, mentioning it was on the iPad, that she'd show it to me later. I just stared at her. I knew she was caught. The next thing she does is pull up a random image from Google and shows it to me like I wouldn't notice. I sighed and asked her straight out, What's going on? Why are you lying? What did you do with the money? She covered her face with her hands and started sobbing. She confessed the truth. She didn't spend it on herself. She gave it to her damned brother, Ken. My blood was already boiling from so much nonsense from my wife. But this time, it wasn't just about the money. It was about the lies. She's got this special bond with Ken. She practically raised him after their parents died in a car accident when she was 17. While her friends went off to college, she worked double shifts in stores ensuring he had food and clothes. She gave everything up for him. That was one of the things I admired most about her when I first met her, because it resonated with my own story. When my father's shop closed, my sister and I moved to the city. I got a job at a mechanic's shop while my sister worked in a store, and Melissa was her co-worker. My sister introduced us. I was 21, she was 19, and little Ken was just a kid, maybe around 11 or 12. She poured her heart into making sure he wouldn't have to go through what she faced. I respected her a lot for that. I also knew what it was like to take care of younger siblings. I was in the same situation, supporting my parents and siblings. I proposed to her even though I didn't have much and we got married. Those first years were tough. We lived paycheck to paycheck, barely making ends meet. I worked overtime and so did she. But we managed. She said she aimed to help Ken stand on his own, but she never did. He just keeps on asking, and she never stops giving. This wasn't the first time she saved him, not even close. He's a grown man with a wife and kids, and she still keeps fixing his life for him. She paid his rent when he got evicted. covered his car payment when he didn't budget correctly, paid off gambling debts twice. And now, this past year, he started a sweet cart business with her support. Never had a problem with helping him in small ways, but he is irresponsible. He took out loans, went into debt, and when his business flopped, he hurried right to his sister. And Melissa didn't think twice about it. She took part of our son's college fund and gave it to him. I told her what I genuinely thought. You stole for him. Tears ran down her face while she offered me her pathetic excuse. He's my brother. I had to do it. I couldn't leave him alone. I shouted, you didn't have to do anything. He's an adult. He needs to take care of his own problems. She shook her head, still crying. You don't understand. He has no one else. I shouted even louder. What about our son? Does he have someone else watching over him? Or does that not matter to you? She cried louder, but I didn't feel an ounce of pity for her. I told her, you stole and then lied to cover it up. You made me think you spent it on nonsense when in fact you were rescuing an adult who refuses to take responsibility for his own life. Why did you lie to me? Her whispered response was, I was scared. I knew you would be angrier if I told you the truth. I was obviously going to be mad. I wouldn't waste our son's money for someone who isn't even worthy of it. Yes, I am angry because this is not just about money. It's about trust. And now, I don't know if I can trust you again. At this point, I almost would have preferred if you had bought those stupid diamonds. At least we could sell them if things got dire. But giving it to Ken was like setting money on fire. There's no way to get that money back. There's no way to sell Ken. I doubt they'd accept him even in the black market. She tried to take my hand, but I pulled away. She tried to calm me down. I'll fix this. I'll find a way to pay back the money. I scoffed. How? Who's going to pay us back? We both know it won't happen. He's a parasite, and you fed him with our son's future so he could become more of a burden. She had nothing to reply to that. I got up and left furiously. I needed space. Don't follow me. At that moment, I felt more betrayed than ever in my life. I feel like I'm married to a stranger, someone who could steal from her own child and lie to my face without a shred of shame. How do I trust her again? Many people asked me in my first post if she contributed to the fund too. Not at all. It was all me if we consider at least 95% of the fund has been put in by me. Sometimes, if she got a bonus, she'd toss in a few dollars, but that does not give her right to waste it like this. Update 2. I packed my things. I left. She doesn't respect me. She always put her brother first and now crossed the line. But what truly broke me was in regard to my son. After the truth came out, we had been fighting for days. She expected me to forgive her, as if confessing was enough to win forgiveness. One night, we were fighting again. The same argument. I was asking her how she could do this to us, and she was dodging everything, acting like it wasn't a big deal. I was tired of her nonsense, so I grabbed the essentials and started to leave the room. As soon as I did, I found our son standing in the hallway crying and trembling. I hugged him, but he asked me to wait for a moment. I stayed by the door. He came back with a backpack in hand and said, "Please take me with you." I didn't know what to tell him. She walked out too and asked what was going on. Our son broke my heart by responding, "I want to go with Dad." The way he stood his ground meant everything to me. I started walking toward the door with him when she stepped in front, demanding, "What are you doing?" I calmly answered, "I am leaving." She exploded, "You can't just take our child and leave." Before I could say anything, our son interjected, "I don't want to stay with you." She tried to reason with him. "Are you angry? Dad is making you think bad things." But he cut her off. "You don't love me. One time Uncle Ken told me you love him more than me." I didn't believe that either, but now I could see how much it hurt her that her own child would say that. A child shouldn't feel that way about their own mother. That was it. I wasn't going to leave my son in a house where he felt second place. She gazed around helplessly, searching for help as though she wanted me to defend her, but it was too late for that. "You brought this on yourself. I told her as we jogged away past her. She grabbed my arm, digging her nails in. You can't do this. You're turning him against me. I shook myself free and told her I didn't even have to say a word. She put him against me. She gritted her teeth and threatened to fight for full custody. Until that moment, I hadn't truly considered getting a divorce, but in that instant, she sparked the best idea I could have to do it. There was no turning back. I looked her right in the eye and said calmly, "Go for it and see how far that gets you." We left and went to my parents' house. We've been living here for 2 weeks now, and I already started the divorce application. My mother urged me to find a place nearby to help me raise my son. I've already found one. We're moving next week. The ironic thing is, Melissa hasn't even bothered to contact us. Not a damn call, not a message, nothing. I didn't think she'd mourn the loss or regret what she did, but I expected she could at least ask how my son was doing. At first, my son would glance at my phone every time it rang, thinking maybe it was her. Then he stopped looking and stopped asking. He gave up on his mom, saying, "She doesn't care." I tried to assure him she's just upset because we left. He shot back coldly. Uncle Ken is the most important to her. I didn't offer any further explanation as it might be the truth. He vowed to never see her again. He said she's no longer his mother. I know he's hurt. I'm aware he isn't being serious, but damn, it boils my blood that she made him feel that way. She's likely out there, sitting pretty, thinking we're going to crawl back, thinking that I can't raise my son on my own, that he's going to miss her so much, when he thinks he'll be begging. Well, she's in for a reality check. I'm asking for a divorce. There's no going back now. Not when she can't even see what she did wrong. Not when she isn't making any effort to fix it. I prefer to raise my son alone rather than watch him grow up in a house where he has to compete for love from his own mother. She can be with her damn brother. I'm staying with my son. Update 3. Sorry for the delay in updates. Life as a single dad isn't the easiest in the world, but I'm getting used to it. But I have something now that's probably going to make you smile. She thought I was kidding about the divorce. She thought it was just a tantrum, that it would pass, that I'd come crawling back. She didn't take it seriously until the papers arrived. The moment she had them in hand, she panicked. She showed up at my parents' house, her eyes wide and frantic, pleading with me to talk things over, to fix what's broken. She claimed she would pay me back, that she was willing to do whatever. I told her, if you truly want to fix something, start with your son, because right now he does not feel like he has a mom. That hit home. But she nodded and walked to talk to him. I stayed back listening from the other room. She knocked on his bedroom door. He didn't respond for 5 minutes, and when he finally did, he coldly said, "Now you remember me." She tried to reason, "I know I should have come earlier, but..." He cut her off. "But you didn't. You waited weeks." She attempted to hug him, but he flinched away from her. She said, "I'm sorry. I was giving you space." He replied, "You weren't waiting for Dad to take me back with you, but when he didn't, only then did you decide to come." My son's hurt crushed me. While painful to witness, he was making the right point. She begged, "Come with me. Let's go back home." And he responded, "I'm already home." It must have been tough to hear that from a kid, which made her break down literally crying. She pleaded. She tried to make him feel guilty, but he didn't bend to it. Then I stepped in. I told her to back off. She asked me to talk privately, and I agreed. We stepped out, and I made it clear. Reconciliation was off the table. If she had anything more to say, it was filled with resentment, but she didn't say anything, because what she really wanted was us to get back together. Then she said, "I'm worried about our son. He won't cope with all of this." Well, she maybe should have given that some thought before stealing money from him. I could have yelled, but I saw no reason to escalate again. Instead, I told her, "I'm taking him to therapy, helping him learn how to handle everything. Unlike you, he is my priority, and I will do anything for his well-being. She didn't push back as much as I thought. The divorce got finalized. We divided everything equally to keep it simple. Shared custody was agreed upon, but I did not fight it since my son was old enough to know what he wanted, and he never spent one day with her ever since she took that money. Had she tried forcing it, I would have taken her straight to court. I worried how my son would cope with everything, but he handled it more maturely than any child his age should have. But one night he told me, "Each one has their priorities, Dad, and maybe we never were hers." That hurt me far more than any of the arguments I had with Melissa. That should have been the end of it. But karma had different plans. The real twist came later when Ken turned on her. Since we've left the house, Melissa has spent most of her afternoons at Ken's, using him as if he were her emotional support animal. At first, Ken's wife tolerated it, but got fed up with Melissa intruding into their life. Melissa has this way of belittling her, acting as if she's not enough for Ken, like nobody could take better care of him than her. Until Ken's wife finally put her foot down and issued Ken an ultimatum. Either she stays in the house, or Melissa does. And Ken chose his wife. He told Melissa she needed to back off and give them space. He told her it wasn't normal that she was over there all the time. Melissa lost her cool, disparaging his wife, accusing her of ruining the brotherly bond, crying that she had given everything for him, and now he was abandoning her. But guess what? She didn't care about any of that and slammed the door in her face. That's when his wife wrote to me, saying I should rein in my wife because her ongoing antics were jeopardizing their marriage, despite it no longer being my responsibility, even though the divorce wasn't finalized at that moment. I wanted to say, "Your husband ruined mine." But I simply answered, "Those siblings are no longer in my life, and she's no longer my problem." Since then, Melissa has been visiting more often, trying to get our son to hang out with her. But after over a year living away from her, to him, she almost doesn't exist. He normally isn't resentful towards her. He simply is indifferent. He politely rejects her offers, totally devoid of guilt. Funny how life works out. She spent her entire life putting Ken first, and in the end, found herself alone. Update 4. My son just turned 15 a few months ago, and throughout that time he has shown no desire to see his mother again. After a while, Melissa basically stopped trying. There's only a finite amount of rejections anyone can take. A little context on what went down with her. First, there's the fact regarding the division of assets, especially with the account that held our son's college funds. We came to an agreement that it would be under my name, and she wouldn't have to return the part she took. It was just a joint account. No point in creating a trust or such, just a basic account where we sent money. Therefore, no legal basis to sue her over this. I felt fine with the agreement. As long as she couldn't access the rest of the money, I could start saving again and protect it. The rest of the assets were split down the middle. I kept my business while she took the house, which she later had to sell because she couldn't afford it. About the selling, she demanded the money I lent her for her brother. I don't know how much she believed that when it came to that house, and that she expected more. It was old and small. It wasn't like anyone was going to pour a fortune into it. Before demanding the money back, she also attempted to interfere in her brother's marriage. There's more to that, but I'll address that later. She wanted her money back and demanded it right away. But her brother said he didn't have it, which I believe because that good-for-nothing can't even hold a job. She insisted to shower him as she unraveled her life, as she took a vindictive turn towards her brother for being ungrateful. So she threatened him with a lawsuit and made posts airing all of it, seeking people's support while sobbing about needing help because her brother wouldn't return the money and she couldn't afford her house anymore due to her crappy wages and the minor bonuses of $200 or $300 she received per year, which was hardly contributing to our son's fund either. She eventually put the house up for sale and moved to a smaller apartment that fit her budget. I know this because she tried to sell it to me at a ridiculous price, maybe about 40% more than what I thought it was worth. Ultimately, she sold it for less because as months progressed, she kept lowering the price until someone snatched it up. Now, back to the part when she tried to ruin her brother's marriage. She was aware that the sister-in-law was a little jealous, so using an alternate phone number that her brother thinks she got, just for that, she began harassing him. She impersonated another woman, sending messages, even sending risque photos to make it more believable. That one crosses the emotional incest line, plunging into another category. Her brother eventually realized it was her, no idea how exactly, and put up a bunch of posts, which is how I found all this out. Don't ask about any photos, she hasn't made them public. That broke up their relationship and it triggered her again, leading her to demand that money back. I don't think I've neglected anything else. That sums up all that my ex has done during this period, which is more than what some do in a lifetime.